you for joining us. I'm Joy.
And I'm Laura.
And this is The Witches of Letters, a supernatural rewatch podcast.
Buckle up as we dive into season 2, episode 1, In My Time of Dying.
Laura.
Joy.
Laura.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them what you did to me?
Is this the cockroaches?
Stop saying the forbidden words.
Well, I just put an Instagram post up with cockroaches on it. But in fairness,
She's like, that's all I did. No.
I do the out of context quotes on Instagram, and I always make them relate to what we were talking about. And we were talking about our podcast wars, and I also put "Are the Doll" and the Haunted Barbie up. So I did 2 jump scares for myself and 1 for you.
Okay, but can I just say, let me put this in full context for everyone who is listening, you guys, okay? Because she is selling this so differently. So what happened was she put up out of context quotes and she buried the cockroach one, like to the second to last one. So I'm scrolling through having the best time of my life. What this is like, no, a lot of you may or may not be old enough to remember these, but back in the jump scare days of the internet, there used to be these videos where it would seem like a really nice video at first, but then there would be like something horrible in it that would like scream at you through the screen. Yeah, it was like that. That's what she did. So it was all really nice and really funny, and it was hilarious, and we were wrapping up season 1, and I was all nostalgic, and I was like, oh, this is so emotional. And then I get to like the second to last one. Not only did she decide, she didn't go for, I'm going to put a cockroach on it because that's going to jump scare Joy. No. It's a picture with just fucking 100 cockroaches on it from fucking nowhere. She could have chosen illustrations, right? She could have done like cartoony ones. No. Our girl went for fucking scientific accuracy. She like, it was literally just a pile of actual cockroaches. It was horrific.
Pile of cockroaches.
I basically threw up in my mouth. I was not okay.
I have to say,
I
didn't think, oh, I'm going to get one with loads of cockroaches. I just did cockroaches Google search and just chose one. I didn't put much thought into it.
I just want you guys to know that she messaged me. I have a picture of this DM. She messaged me and said, did you like your cockroaches, with a devil emoji? So all of this like act of innocence is bullshit. Okay, it's bullshit, you guys. And then she's like, it's okay because I put up a picture of a doll that I'm scared of. No, you were scared of us saying his name on the podcast.
Yeah, but also you're not allowed to take photos of him because he also haunts photos. So technically I could have haunted the Instagram page. I will admit that it was a choice to not tell you there was a cockroach picture because I wanted to see your reaction.
Oh my god. Anyway. So I told her, and I'm announcing it, like obviously she wanted to go into season 2 strong as far as prank wars go. Like this was the initiation of season 2 prank wars. So I'm just saying, like, listen, game on, sister. Game on, okay? I am coming for you. All right? So.
I don't know where to go from that. I did not like the title when I first saw the title. I was like, what? Who's dying?
And now we know.
Yeah, but it's like a twist because it was like Dean that was dying all episode, but then he didn't die.
Yeah.
Daddy Winchester died.
He did, John.
I'm sad.
Mr. Jeffery Dean Morgan.
Yeah, he's my favourite, and now we're not going to see him anymore.
You've spent so long telling everyone how much you hate him.
No, I don't hate. John is annoying. I enjoy seeing Jeffery Dean Morgan on my television every week.
Okay. Okay, I'm with you now. We're on the same page. Now. I was like, you've done nothing but complain about John Winchester, which is valid,
he's an asshole.
because me too, because he sucks. So I spent all of last episode being like, Bobby saying that he wanted to shoot John was priceless because we all kind of want to shoot John. But then I feel like he turns it around in this episode. And you kind of like, there are things that still are, you go, is that John? But
Yeah.
also, I cry. Like,
Mhm.
if I'm caught off guard and I'm just watching this episode, I totally cry because he's actually honest with
Yeah.
himself and with the boys in this episode, and you actually get to see like who he is as a person, and you go, shit, that's why Mary married him. You get to see like the heroic side of him and his heart and why he's actually likable, and then all of that is snatched away from you in the same episode. So you fall in love with him and then lose him in the same episode.
Yeah.
And it's an experience. It's an experience.
I cried the second time I watched it because the first time I wasn't watching it properly. And I was just angry with him. But then it's because it hadn't fully clicked what he was doing with his demon deal the first time. And so I
Yeah.
was thinking like Sam, and that he was just wanting to kill the
Fight the
demon and he didn't
demon.
really care
Yeah.
about Dean. And it made me angry because Dean in the last episode had literally stopped everything in order to find his dad. And I was like, why
Yeah.
can't you do the same thing for him? But then I realized that he was doing that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he'd
And
already
then you
made
go,
his
oh,
mind up.
they are related.
Yeah.
And you
And then I was
realize that
sad.
like, yeah. Because then you can see all these different these specific beautiful heroic traits that both Sam and Dean inherited from John through the episode. You sort of like realize the ways in which he shaped them that we didn't get before, because before he just came across as kind of this revenge driven jerk who have these insanely awesome kids that he seemed to totally take for granted.
Yeah.
And you could see the way in which John's upbringing, if you can call it that, of them has damaged them and really hurt them. And because you love Sam and Dean so much, you get really, really, really angry with him. And it's also one of the reasons why everybody loves Bobby so much, because Bobby comes in and is like an actual fucking father figure. And everyone is like, oh my God, finally. And Bobby's just everything. But I'm sure that a lot of that is because we totally lack John being a dad until like literally the last, like the last 10 minutes of his life. He's a great dad. And before that, he was like an absent father.
Yeah. I'm left thinking at the end of the episode, what the hell did he say to Dean? I have my theories, but I'll talk about them later when we get to it.
Yeah, it's really frustrating for me because I know what he says.
Yeah.
And it adds so much context. And when you know what he says, every expression on Dean's face makes sense. Because the thing that drove me crazy when I was in your boat, when you don't know what John says, is like you're trying to read Dean's face. You're trying to guess based on his facial expressions what's being said. Because is he saying I love you? Is he saying I'm proud of you? Is he saying this is what you've got to do for the mission? What is he saying? And there was such a long gap between this season and the next season from memory. I was not a happy camper. It was really hard. And then it takes some time to unravel that particular thread and get there. And then by the time we'd gotten to what he'd actually said, I think I'd forgotten about that scene. And I was like, oh yeah, the great mystery.
It'll be interesting to see how Dean is for like the next few episodes, because okay, so my theories, I'll just tell you now. My theories are either my initial thought was that he told Dean like what he was doing, that he's about to sacrifice himself, or he has told him what he knows about Sam because he told the demon he knows about Sam. And if it's that, then it's like, how's Dean gonna react or be with Sam for the next few episodes? So I'm going to be looking out for that to see how he is, and then I'll be like, oh, he did tell him something, or it might have just been that he told him, oh yeah, by the way, I'm about to go and sacrifice myself. Although I think Dean would have probably reacted if he'd said that. He would have been like, no, don't. So I don't know, but they're my theories. I think it's probably one of those, or yeah, I don't know.
I realize that you're smarter than I am. Whenever we have these conversations and you list your theories, I'm always like, wow, she's smarter than me.
But even if he told him about Sam, like I still don't know what that is. I've got no idea what he knows about Sam. That's one of my annoying like things that has annoyed me this episode, because the demon knows, John
Yeah,
knows, and now potentially Dean knows. Poor Sam doesn't know.
poor
He just
Sam.
knows something. He's in the same boat as me. He knows something because the demon told him, I have a plan for you and all the children like you, but he doesn't know what that means.
Yeah. That part I did guess. So I was at least clever about that, but I had no idea about the conversation with John. I had some
No.
wild guesses, and I was really off base.
Yeah, well, I've got some theories about maybe what's going on with Sam, but I don't really know.
Yeah.
But it's,
Yeah.
there's a whole load of demons involved, so that's all
I
I know.
just remember getting to this episode and being really, really, really excited because the other one, I was like, meh. This is a lot of depressing main storyline stuff. Really want a supernatural episode.
Yeah.
And that's what this is.
Yeah, I did like this episode.
This is so good. I told Laura this, and it's such a weird episode to have as a comfort episode because it does make me cry, but it is a comfort episode though. I watch it over and over and over and over and over and over again. I've seen this episode so many times. It is one of my favorite episodes ever. And it's really cool watching it again and looking at it through the lens of the podcast because I totally nerded out on Easter eggs and I uncovered all this stuff that I had no idea about before. So that was really, really fun because that added a whole new layer for me.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about these Easter eggs today. Did you enjoy this episode like as much as your favorite episodes from season 1? Like, where do you rate it? What was it like for you?
I did really like it, and I probably will watch it over and over again as well. I think I still like the more monster, and there was kind of a monster of the week, but I like the more monster of the week ones.
I know what you mean because it is, but it isn't a monster of the week one because we still have Azazel, and Azazel's like the main bad guy, but he's not really a monster of the week, is he? Because he's like the bad guy. And
Wait,
then we have Azazel is the yellow-eyed demon.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've just been calling him Yellow Eyes.
Yeah. And then also Tessa isn't a bad guy at all. Tessa's a good guy, but we think she's a bad guy. Like, we think she's the monster of the week and that she's not the monster of the week. And I really like that because I like how in the last episode they were like, oh, well, when you look at this association between hags and the evilness of hags, but hags are not bad. And they're constantly correcting the idea that older or independent women are evil. So I love the idea that she appears as like a sacred hag, if you will. Like, she appears as a reaper. She's like a woman in white, or the Morrigan in her form as the Grey Lady, which is kind of like a scarier figure, but she looks old because in her true form, how old is death? Ancient. Do we think that she gives a fuck about pleasing the male gaze? No. I honestly believe that's why she looks like that, because she's a badass. And she's comfortable with herself, you know what I'm saying? But then there's Dean Winchester, and we all know that Dean Winchester is super fucking hot. And do we think that Dean Winchester is hot enough that Death was like, let me just put on a human face for you so that you can see what I look like as a human, and I'm gonna look real pretty? Because I feel like she really flirted with him in this episode, and it gives me life. I love the chemistry between them, and like I love the idea that Dean is such a fucking badass hero that he gets his own reaper, his own angel of death, because I have Irish ancestry, and in Irish folklore the houses of kings and queens and like special people get their own banshee. So like they get their own omen of death, their own like announcement. And you see this in a lot of different kinds of folklore. So like in Nordic folklore, it's the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie come to collect the noble slain, right? The people who deserve it get a special kind of welcome to the other side, is the way that I like to look at it. So the way that I look at Dean getting his own reaper, because we know from Faith, most people don't see it. They don't have an experience of it. Like all that other stuff only went down because there was bad magic going on, right? But Dean is such a fucking legend that not only does he get his own Reaper, but she clearly has a crush on him. I feel like Death was like, this guy is cool. I really want to spend some time with him, so I'm gonna put a different face on and spend some time with him.
I like how she says, like, my original form freaked you out, so that hurts a girl's feelings.
Yeah, no, I love that line. I love that line so much. Yeah. So I feel like she realized that because Dean is who he is and because he's a hunter, he was going to see her real form. He was going to see her from his point of view killing these people in the hospital. And so she could never have a conversation with him like that. She could never get close to him like that because he would just attack her and try to defeat her.
Yeah.
So she had to put on a different face, so I stand by my she doesn't care about the male gaze thing, but also Dean Winchester's hot assessment because I feel like that's accurate. And she goes full Meet Joe Black, okay? She goes full Meet Joe Black. She comes down in her pretty princess form and is like, by the way, you should come with me and let me ease your suffering. Because her whole thing is not that fighting isn't worthwhile or important, but she's like, Dean, you've done what you're supposed to do. You're a badass and you fulfilled your purpose and you fought so much and you don't have to fight anymore if you don't want to. And she's also giving him a choice. She says, you don't have to come with me. It is your choice. But you should understand that unrestful spirits and angry spirits and the thing that you hunt and the thing that hurts other people and hurts the living, that comes from where you're at right now. So you can have peace, or you can look down the barrel of becoming an angry ghost and potentially being the thing that you hate the most in the world, basically. And that's such a profound scene. And I love it so much.
Yeah, I really liked that bit.
I love it so much. I also love how when he realizes that she's the Reaper and she knows that he knows, she puts on this like femme fatale black dress. And that's a double pun because she's Death.
I did note from a costume point of view that they were wearing white when they're like spirits or angel, kind of like, not angels, but like about to die.
Yeah.
And then she was wearing black when he finds out she's the Reaper.
Yeah. I love it. I feel like it's significant in two ways because number one, we know that the Reaper is associated with black. Death's colors are black in Western society anyway. So you have the angelic whites, and then when he knows who she is wearing black, but she's also wearing like the little black dress. So I felt like it was double. It was a double meaning, and I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, me too.
Do you want to tell people what you found out about Tessa's name on IMDb since we're already here on the topic?
Oh yeah. So in the trivia on IMDb, it just says Tessa is the first Reaper seen in Supernatural in a non-human form. The first time a Reaper is shown is in season 1, episode Faith. The Greek meaning of the name Tessa is Reaper, which is quite cool.
That is super cool. I love that. Laura, do you want to do the synopsis?
Yeah. So this is season 2, episode 1, In My Time of Dying. The original air date for this episode was September 28th, 2006. We are in the aftermath of the car crash at the end of season 1. All of the Winchesters are taken to hospital. Sam and John have pulled through with minor injuries, but Dean is in a critical condition. Dean has an out-of-body experience and fights off the Reaper who has come for him, tries to communicate with his brother and dad to find a way to save him, and ultimately comes to terms with his probable death. Throughout the episode, Sam is desperately trying to find a way to save Dean, as is John, who ends up making a deal with the yellow-eyed demon to save him. A deal that will cost him his life.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, and we weren't okay at the end.
We were not okay. Tears were shed.
No.
I also found out that not everyone's tears burn. That's not a thing that happens to everybody. That definitely happens to me. I was like, my eyes are burning. I don't like it.
What do you mean? Like when you cry, your eyes burn?
Yeah. So
Oh,
it has to do with the chemical makeup of your tears. Your tears are made of all kinds of different things that I'm
acid.
not going to bore you with. Apparently, me. Some of it can be a little bit acidic, or like the pH balance can be a little bit different. So when you read a book and it says the sting of tears, or her eyes
Ah.
burned with tears, that's written by somebody like me who has burning tears. Fun fact. Fun fact. And I
Oh,
had burning tears for John. I feel like Laura was probably crying more because she realized that she wasn't going to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan because he was
yeah,
being killed
that's why.
off. Yeah.
That was why I was crying.
She was like, no, the most beautiful man is leaving.
I don't know what it was this episode as well. He looked particularly hot this episode.
Oh
And he
my
was like,
God, he did. He did.
it was like
I
he's like
literally
ill and in
have in my
hospital.
notes, literally in my notes, there are parts of my notes that just say, how am I supposed to focus on writing notes? How am I supposed to absorb this episode when Jeffrey Dean Morgan is looking like a piece of fucking artwork? Like a Grecian piece of art in a
But it's
fucking
like,
museum. How?
but why? But why does he look that way? He's in hospital. It was his hair. His hair looked really good. Anyway.
His hair looked really good. His eyes are beautiful. The color choices that they made really make him look gorgeous. Like it makes his skin tone look really fantastic too. So he looks gorgeous. Painfully good looking is how I would describe him in this episode. It's a little bit torturous for us as viewers, I feel like.
Yes. Should we get on with the opening, seeing as we're 20 minutes in?
We should probably do that. We should probably do that. Yeah. Yeah. The setting in this episode isn't listed on the episode title. And Laura was like, what are you even going to do for Easter eggs? What if there's no setting? And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
So I went to check, and Supernatural Wiki came through and told me that this is set in Sioux Falls in South Dakota. So this is basically set as the same setting as, or one of the same settings as the last episode, actually, which is why we don't have like a place setting, because the entire episode is set in the same place. And it's also set in one of the places that we were in last episode. And they also said that Sioux Falls, they actually set 9 full episodes in Sioux Falls. So Devil's Trap was set here. The episode that we're on now, In My Time of Dying, was set in Sioux Falls. Everybody Loves a Clown, which Laura's going to watch at my house, was set in Sioux Falls, by the way.
Yep.
The episode 14 of this season, and then also episode 22, one of the biggest episodes of this season, also set in Sioux Falls. So they really, really, really like Sioux Falls. And I did find another creepy Sioux Falls fact for you guys. Basically, there is a forest in Sioux Falls that's super haunted, and it's very, 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 very famous for being very, 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 very haunted. And it's attached to some indigenous folklore. So what I did was I found an indigenous person speaking about the area and the legends on TikTok. So there's a link to their TikTok video in my show notes. If you want to go and watch that, I really recommend it. But we're going to talk about the legends of Sica Hollow, which has been nicknamed Devil Woods by like a reasonable number of sites and sources that I've seen. And I thought that since Kripke is kind of obsessed with like the devil connections, we've got the Devil's Staircase, the Devil's Gulch, all these different places. The Devil Woods seemed like something that he would be into. And I thought, aha. And I did my little like evil genius finger motions that you can't see, but I'm telling you about it so you know about it. That's what was happening there when I went, aha. So the Dakota Sioux once hunted in the forested ravines known as Sica Hollow until some bad shit went down. So Sica actually translates to evil, and there are several legends that have come out of this state park. It's believed that the area was cursed by really, really dark actions that took place there. And the indigenous people basically believe that that's why the water runs red. So when you go to this place, the water is blood colored. Indigenous
Yeah.
people call the pathway the Trail of Spirits, according to this source. And they state that it has bubbling red bogs, and that the Sioux believed that to be the flesh and blood of their ancestors due to the stories that were passed down generation to generation about the terrible things that happened here. Um, and basically, this story, I'm going to give you a brief summary because I'd really like you to go and support this indigenous creator and listen to them telling the actual story of their people that feels more appropriate. But a really brief summary is that there was a member of the tribe, or a person who came to be part of the tribe, who committed a lot of murders and atrocities while he was there. And effectively, that got the place cursed. And actually, it was so bad that one of the gods came down and just punished everybody left, right, and center. And that to this
Yeah.
day, this place is believed to be like a bad place, like a place that it's not recommended to go into. So you'll find lots of ghost adventure shows, lots of websites write about it. It's really, really well known. There's a shit ton of like haunted TikTok accounts going through and doing tours of it. But not only that, so the red water is like wildly iron rich, which is really interesting to me because it's like, how did the iron get in there? Is this naturally occurring iron,
I was going to
or
say, is it
is
iron?
there a spookier reason? We don't know. We don't know. Scientifically, it's iron ore, but how did those iron deposits get in there? So then we have swamp gas as well,
Blood.
which yeah. So there's swamp gas, which is like swamp lights. In Florida, you get that too, which is where I'm from originally, and it is very haunting. And there are a lot of cultures that believe that swamp gas, the fox lights, as we call them, that you get, are the lights of spirits or ghosts leading you. In the UK, they're sometimes referred to as will-o'-the-wisps, or they're linked to will-o'-the-wisps. So anytime you get a bog where there's enough natural gas that it can actually light itself, there tends to be lore about spirits, ghosts, hauntings. It's really,
Yeah.
really, really fascinating. But in this place, there's also tree stumps and trees apparently that have some kind of bioluminescence, whether it's because of the swamp gas, I don't know, it doesn't say, but they glow in the dark. And I was like, so you're telling
Wow.
me there's like blood rivers, or blood red rivers, right? There's glowing trees and mysterious lights through this forest. Like, that sounds so fucking cool. Not gonna lie.
It sounds
Scary,
magical.
magical, cool, haunted, maybe a little terrifying. It's a soup. It's a mixture of all of those things.
That
So I
bioluminescence really fascinates me. How
Me
that
too.
happens.
Me too. I am literally thrilled by it. I so badly want to go and see glowing trees. Like,
Yeah, me
that
too.
sounds amazing. I really want
Put
to
it
see
on the road
trees
trip.
glowing. I'm adding it to the road trip. We'll go to Sica Hollow. So yeah, I love that. I thought it was super spooky. It felt like a crypty kind of nod to me. So that is all in the show notes. All the links are in there. There's also a reference to last episode. If you didn't check out last episode's Easter eggs, there's another haunted scary place from Sioux Falls that is in those show notes. So if you go there and you're like, oh, this is fun, but I wonder if there's more, the answer is yes. Yes, there is. And you should look at both this episode show notes and last episode show notes for that.
Cool. So I liked the then and now montage at the start. I like that as a recap for season 1. The
Yeah,
then
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
I like that because normally when you just have like a recap, it's a bit boring, and I liked it because it was just like the action shots from season 1, basically.
It was a really cool, almost like a sizzle reel of all of the best things from season 1. It is really cool. I love the recaps. This season's title
Yeah.
card, they actually put money in the budget too,
Oh yeah,
which
that was
was so
cool. Yeah.
exciting. like it's all fire, and there's like a pentagram in the A
Yeah, for
in
the A.
Supernatural.
I love that.
So
Yeah.
much fun. I love it. It was really, really, really cool design. So I
Yeah, I
was a
liked
really
it.
big fan. And I feel like this is when the show starts to really take on the tone of its openings. I got Bad Moon Rising playing in the opening of this scene. And I was like, good, because I would have thrown my TV through a window. So yeah, I love Bad Moon Rising playing over the scene. I was a really, really
Yeah,
big
it's
fan
good.
of the way that like the truck lights light everything, because the car radiators burst in the accident. So there's steam coming
Mhm.
up from the hood of the Impala, which makes it look like this super creepy fog. And I was also internally screaming at the way that they hurt baby for this scene, okay? Because
Yeah.
she is not in a good way. I was like, I'm internally screaming at the damage to baby, who's the fourth Winchester. I was not okay. Like, she's as banged up as the boys. Um,
She's a write-off.
yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Bobby was like, there's nothing really here to save. And then in that scene later on when Sam's fighting for her, I have notes, okay? Because I was like, yes, Sam.
Yeah, same.
Um, oh god, I love Sam in that scene. But yeah, it's creepy, it's kind of gothic. Um,
Mhm.
it's really scary, the opening sequence, and everyone is so
Mhm.
vulnerable and wounded, and it's just like you're on the edge of your seat. Like you are scared from the first few seconds. Um
Yeah,
and Bad
it
Moon
was
Rising
scary.
just adds an extra layer. Like it makes it extra creepy, and it does something for the scene that I don't think I can put into words. But it's perfect. Like this whole opening montage is perfect.
I have one flag, but that's at the end of it. Um,
Okay.
I liked the possessed driver, so he gets out of the truck and goes over there. The demon pulls the car door off in one go, and then Sam draws the Colt and threatens to kill him. That was hot, by the way.
It was hot.
And then,
I have that down as the thirst trap.
yeah, it is, because he's like, "You want to bet?" Because the demon. What does the demon say before? He says like, "You're not going to use the bullet because it's your last one" or
Oh
something.
yeah, he says you're saving that bullet for someone else. And Sam goes, "You want to bet?" While he's cocking the gun. Um
Yeah,
and
that was the hot bit.
that was hot as fuck. And he's so beat to hell, but he's just like,
Yeah.
I will fucking smoke you. And you absolutely believe him. It's amazing. It's so,
Yeah.
so good.
And then it worked as well because the demon's like, okay, I better be out of here. And he leaves the driver. And this is my flag because I'm sorry, but the smoke looks rubbish again. The demon smoke looks rubbish again.
Demon dust.
It was good at the end of season 1. So what happened? It's like the demon dust again.
That wasn't my flag. I have a flag a little bit later on. So I kind of liked what they were going for. I felt like they were going for like a black cloud, like a storm cloud, and I felt like it was a lot
Yeah.
spookier. It was better than the original stuff, but it's still
I like the
not.
idea.
I like the idea. It's not. I'm with Laura in that I feel like it could be executed better. However, we are looking at this through the lens of 2024. So we're
Yeah,
looking
again,
at this,
smaller TVs.
yeah, exactly, 20 years
It would have
later
looked
or
okay.
whatever, with so many more CGI effects under our belt. Like, we're like, oh, you could do that so
Mhm.
much better, but we are like 20 years in the future. So, I don't
Yeah.
know. But I like the way it rises up and then you see the moon in the background and you've got Credence Clearwater in your head with Bad Moon on the
Mm.
rise. And like, I just thought that was good and spooky. So I feel like I see what they were going for.
Yeah.
When the demon trucker walks up, the black eyes are like extra scary. And then when he rips off baby's
Mhm.
door, I was screaming because that is so
Yeah.
painful to watch. And then Sam, I wrote down, that's a thirst trap. That's amazing. the, the sequence we just talked about, because oh, that was awesome. That's like, we've seen Ding be really hardcore and hot and like violent. Okay, we all know that I have
Mhm.
issues and I'm really attracted to that. But this was Sam being
Mhm.
hardcore and violent and hot. And again, I have issues, so I was really attracted to that. It was just It's like there's those moments in Lord of the Rings where Sam is thrashed and you don't understand how he's still going, let alone how he's helping Frodo. And that's what I feel like this was like. Our Sam was like
Yeah.
that. He was like on the edge of fucking Mordor. We have no idea how he's still alive at this point, but he's still facing down evil and kicking ass. And that's just awesome. It's rock and roll.
Yeah, it was cool. I felt really sorry for the driver when he's like, "Did I do this?" When he's himself again.
Yeah, that hits because you're watching it and at the time you're annoyed with him, but there's a part of you in the background of all of that that's like his life is wrecked because he's going to have no
Yeah.
memory of what he did. I was possessed by a demon isn't an explanation, so his life is going to go forward with like he blacked out at the wheel and plowed
Yeah,
into
because
this
he won't know
family,
what happened.
and then
Yeah.
John dies. He's not going to know
Yeah.
that's a demon deal. So as far as anyone is concerned, he plowed into this car and killed this guy, and he
Yeah.
seems like a nice like old man. When you stop and you think about it, that part is actually really, really sad, and it does add a layer of horror.
Yeah, I just felt really bad for him.
Yeah, me too.
I had a note in the next scene to say, "This is the brightest scene in Supernatural ever," because it's always
Ever.
usually in the dark.
Ever.
It's like bright daylight.
Okay, so this is my red flag, all right? I was like, okay, please explain why they're hit in the middle of the night, but emergency services roll up at fucking noon the next day. And then I just wrote blah, 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 helicopter.
I hadn't even noticed that, but they've done that before, haven't they? Like in Bugs, when it was just middle of the night till middle of the day.
Just full fucking
Although-
daylight.
Although it must be just a really light morning, because when John dies, it is 10:41 a.m. I made a note of that later.
I
So-
made a note of that too.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know, when do you think they crashed? Maybe 2 a.m. or something?
Yeah.
So I suppose maybe they were sat there for a while until someone came past to call it in.
I just feel like, here's the thing, is that truck driver has a CB radio. He's going to immediately radio in and say that he's been in an
Oh, yeah, the
accident
truck
and
driver
he
was
needs
there.
help. Right?
Yeah.
And they've obviously also called in because they have an airlift, like an emergency airlift. So he's clearly called them in. They know that they need an air ambulance. The air ambulance
And it
is
would have
there.
got there quick.
Those choppers get there fucking fast because that's the entire point of an air ambulance. So it just doesn't make any sense. It's a total red flag.
They always do that with the times of day. It just never works. They've done that a few times that we've pointed out.
Yeah. And it's like the helicopter in the middle of the night would have been so much more dramatic. It would have been really scary. I don't know why they did that. That was stupid. I bet the helicopter was like, yeah, we can come, but we can't do stuff at night because it's going to cost you more or something. And they went, no. It'll just be day.
Yeah. It was very bright. It hurt my eyes. Because I was like, I'm not used to this brightness.
Honestly, the brightness itself was almost a jump scare. Okay? But not a good jump scare. Not a good horror jump scare. Just like a sensory jump scare. I did not care for it.
No. So we see Dean wake up in the hospital. I have a question. Why were his trousers like flares? They look like those huge trousers we used to wear as teenagers. They're not just normal hospital trousers.
They gave him really stylish scrubs so that he would look sexy.
They were like flares.
Yeah.
But they don't look like that later on. It's only in that first bit.
Well, I feel like this was a purposeful thing because my first words are Dean is so pretty. So I feel like they accomplished what they set out to accomplish.
I thought this was a dream to start with. I thought he was having a dream rather than an out-of-body experience. I suppose they're not that dissimilar, but
yeah,
I thought he was having a dream. And then when he saw himself in the coma, I was like, uh-oh, he's out of his body.
Your uh-ohs live rent-free in my head. They make me so happy. Like every single time you do it, serotonin. I love it so much. I keep waiting for when we have a scene that I think that you're going to do that too. And if you do it, I get so happy. It gives me life.
Uh-oh.
I love it. I love it. So Dean wakes up and he goes out into the hallway and it's really fucking long. And the color grade is like really extra gray around him. Everything is a little bit ghostly. It's a little bit otherworldly. And it actually stays that way for the whole episode. There are these little subtle kind of shifts that we more or less are staying next door to death for this whole episode, which makes sense because it's kind of where the Winchesters are for this episode. And I just thought that was really kind of cool. That was a cool choice.
Yeah.
So Dean's like, Sam, Dad, anybody? And he goes down the stairs to the front of the hospital and then he finds the nurse's station, like Laura was saying. And he says, excuse me, hi, I think I was in a car accident. My dad and my brother, I just need to find them. And he's not panicked, but you see that he's confused, he's concerned, he's scared, all these things. And the nurse fully blanks him. He's like snapping his fingers in her face. And my notes say, Dean realizes he's invisible because the blonde nurse ignores him. Lol. This is like classic Dean Winchester lore. If an attractive blonde woman is ignoring him, she's either evil or he's invisible. Those are the only two options. And then when he goes downstairs and he sees his own body in the bed and he's all intubated and he's dying and it's terrible. And we get this close up of his face being like, ugh, what the fuck? And I was like, Dean seeing himself freaked me the fuck out. No thank you to tubes. Blech.
Yeah.
Because hospital horror really hits me. Like, you know how Laura hates eyeballs and like dolls and all that stuff? For me, my equivalent of that shit is hospital horror. I do not do well with it. I don't like needles. I don't like tubes. I don't like the machines beeping with the heart rate and things. I don't care for it. It gives me the ick. And so this was actually a pretty scary scene for me.
And then Sam comes in, so we know he's okay.
Yeah.
And Dean's trying to talk to him, but he can't hear him. And he's like, I just wrote down, give me some ghost whispering or something. I don't know if that was the whole quote, but that bit was funny.
Dingo, Sammy, you look good, considering. And I wrote down, it's because he has the force, Dean. He has the force. And Sam sees Dean and he says, oh no. And Dean goes, man, tell me you can hear me. Yeah. And he says, how's Dad? Is he okay? Come on, you're the psychic. Give me some ghost whispering or something. And that's the line that you were thinking of. And I was like, this is the second time that they've referenced Ghost Whisperer, and it's giving me life. Okay? It's giving me life. I love that show. And it's like the second time that Sam gets compared to Jennifer Love Hewitt. He's like, give me the ghost whispering. And it made me laugh so hard. I loved it. So then the doctor walks in and he's talking to Sam and he says, your father's awake. You can go see him if you like. And Dean says, thank God, in the background. And Sam says, Doc, what about my brother? And the doctor says, well, he sustained serious injury, blood loss, contusions to his liver and kidney, but it's the head trauma I'm worried about. There's early signs of cerebral edema. And because there's all these jokes about Dean being kind of dumb sometimes, like about him being a little bit of a himbo through the series, that part made me laugh when he was like, the thing that I'm most concerned about are the head injuries. I was like, oh no.
Oh, poor Dean.
Not the brain. Poor Dean. Oh dear. And the doctor says, Sam says, well, what can we do? And the doctor says, well, we won't know his full condition until he wakes up. And then he says, if he wakes up. And I was like, you are such a medical doctor in a drama right now. The way he's dramatically like, if he wakes up.
If.
Yeah. And then Sam goes, if, and the doctor says, I have to be honest. And Dean is kind of talking over him going, oh, screw you, Doc, I'm waking up. And that made me laugh too. And the doctor says most people with his degree of injury wouldn't have survived this long. He's fighting very hard, but you need to have realistic expectations. And Dean goes, come on, Sam, go find some hoodoo priest to lay some mojo on me. Sam? But Sam obviously cannot hear him. And then we go into John's room. Well, yeah.
Because he says it later.
As we learn, he is definitely picking some stuff up. So we are finally back in an episode where Sam is actually using his powers. Finally. Not when he was taken by the Benders. No, because that would have been silly, apparently. But in this episode, he can hear Dean as a ghost. Okay.
I thought it was worth noting at this point that, you know how in Faith I was getting really, really annoyed with Dean because he was just like, oh, well, I'm dying, whatever. And he didn't care. And in this episode, he's like, no, I'm not going to die. I'm going to fight it. So it's like, what changed? I like that he doesn't want to die this time, but still. Last time he was just like, yeah, whatever. It's my time.
He's not. You are so... I love you so much, but you are so crazy. He wasn't like, yay, I'm dead. He was just like, it is what it is. This is a hunter's life. Laura was like, you can't die. He was like, stop accepting your death.
But he wasn't trying to find anything to make him better. Whereas this time he is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the moral of the story is Laura's happy. Okay, you guys, Laura's happy. So John's lying in a hospital bed and his arm's in a sling and he looks beat up, but he looks incredibly handsome because it's Jeffery Dean Morgan. And I actually feel like they were like, you cannot unhandsome him. Okay? It was like there was a rule, a law on set. So he looks banged up, but he doesn't look as banged up as he should. Okay?
He looks better than the last 2 episodes.
He does! He looks better than a fucking shadow. Oh, I can't. Yeah. Okay. So John says, here, give them my insurance. And he's handing his insurance card to Sam. And Sam takes it and reads it and goes, Elroy McGillicuddy? And we both laughed out loud because when we were watching it and messaging each other back and forth, that made us laugh. And John says, and his 2 loving sons. So what else did the doctor say about Dean? And Sam says, nothing. Look, the doctors won't do anything. Then we'll have to. That's all. I don't know. I'll find some hoodoo priest and lay some mojo on him. So, like Laura pointed out, he clearly did pick up what Dean was
liked the
shouting.
subtle... Yeah. I liked the subtle acting, though, because he's like, he kind of furrows his brow as if to say, where did that come from?
He does. And it's so good because it's such a Dean thing to say. There's this moment of, huh? On his face. It's like, huh? And also determination. So I love it. I love it. I think that was really, really well acted. It was great. It was great. So John says, we'll look for someone. And Sam says, yeah. And then John says, but Sam, I don't know if we're going to find anyone. And Sam says, why not? I found that faith healer before. And John says, yeah, all right. But that was 1 in a million. And this is them hanging the lantern for us because we as an audience, otherwise are going to be like, well, why the fuck don't you just repeat what you did before? So we have to have John delivering this line saying, but that will never happen again. Because otherwise we're going to be like, well, obviously that's the answer. You just find some insane woman who's
find a fake healer.
Yeah, who's caged a reaper to do her evil bidding.
Yeah.
So
in my notes I wrote, John's being a Debbie Downer here because he's not being very optimistic. Whereas Sam is like, well, how can we help Dean? And he's like, yeah, we can't.
Yeah, John's just like, my son? Care about my son? What is that? Is that an emotion you want me to have? Yeah, no, it's great. So, let's see. So Sam says, so what? Do we just sit here with our thumbs up our ass? And he's so angry at John. And I was like, yes, Sam, you tell him.
That was a funny line.
It was so good. I laughed, but I was just like, yes, Sam. Yes. John says, no, I said we'd look, all right? I'll check under every stone. And then he says, where's the colt? And we all go, bitch. And Sam says, your son is dying and you're worried about the cult. And John says, we're hunting this demon and maybe it's hunting us too. That gun may be our only card. And Sam says, it's in the trunk. They dragged the car off the yard of I-83. But you can see that he's furious. You can see that he's absolutely fucking steaming. Because he's like, how dare you be asking me about fucking strategy when your son is dying and you don't have an answer right now? So John says, all right, you've got to clean out that trunk before some junk man sees what's inside. Sam says, I already called Bobby. He's like an hour out. He's going to tow the Impala back to his place. John says, all right, you need to go meet up with Bobby. You get that colt and you bring it back to me, and you watch out for hospital security. That part made me laugh about hospital security, because Laura is always making cracks about how like they're just allowed anywhere at any time of night. They just wander through. This is the first time, I swear, this is the first time that they've ever cared about hospital security in their lives. It was great. So
how are they going to bring a gun into hospital?
It's a good solid question. It's a good question. But Sam says he has it covered. Okay, so in Sam we trust, all right? In Sam we trust. So he goes to leave, and John hands him this sheet of paper, and he says, hey, here, I made a list of things I need. Have Bobby pick them up for me. Because I guess Bobby's his errand boy now. Again, classic John behavior. Okay, this is why Bobby wanted to shoot him in the first place, all right? So Sam says, acacia, oil of ebermelon. What's the stuff for? And John says, protection. And Sam says, hey, Dad, you know the demon? He said he had plans for me and the children like me. Do you have any idea what he meant by that? And John looks him dead in the eye and says, no, I don't. Okay?
He's a liar.
He's a liar. Liar. Right? So then Sam leaves, and Dean, it turns out, was behind the door that he shuts, and he's been leaning there with his arms crossed. And he looks at his dad, and it's deep suspicion. And he says, well, you know something. He's like, bitch, you are lying. And Dean looks so goddamn sexy. Goddamn sexy. I literally just wrote thirsty, and then I underlined it like 6 times. Because he looks so hot. It's just, it's good. It's good. It's amazing. So I have a little Easter egg for us, which is the list of magical ingredients that John sent Sam to get for him. They are real. They are real things. So the oil of abramelin is a ceremonial magical oil blended from aromatic plant materials. The recipe is adapted from the Jewish holy oil of the Tanakh, which is described in the book of Exodus and attributed to Moses himself. So there are a couple of similar recipes, but the original was made up of myrrh, cinnamon, cassia, calamus, and olive oil. So myrrh is believed to be sacred to the Lord. So when we think about what we know John is going to do, which is basically he's going to summon a demon to make a deal with said demon, these ingredients actually make sense to me. Like, as a practitioner, this checks out, because what he's put down on the ground later is his summoning glyph and his ritual, and he makes his blood offering and all that stuff. And I assume that the glyph is Azazil's name. And this part would be protection, power, and like opening the door. So myrrh is sacred to God in a magical context. So he would basically be blessing himself. And calamus is used to sweetly control others. And I was like, ooh. So he's put in something that will help give him more power of persuasion over the demon, which makes a lot of sense. And then we have olive oil, which biblically, magically, is used to anoint priests, kings, and prophets, and symbolizes God's choice and consecration of individuals for specific and holy purposes. And I was like, oh, okay, that's very interesting. Because John, we know from watching this episode, is going to sacrifice himself so that Sam and Dean can keep on the mission. We know that we're in a kind of Christo-pagan story setting. So I feel like that was really, really, really interesting. And then acacia has been used throughout the centuries and is also really, really like renowned. So its magical purposes include calling spirits, and demon is literally just Latin for spirit, by the way, consecration, protection from malevolent energies and entities, psychic power, purification, and spirituality. So if you were going to summon a demon, acacia wood, not a bad thing to go with, or oil, any part of the plant really. So I was like, well,
Hmm.
that actually makes a shit ton of sense. Okay. That makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense because this would give you a lot more power, a lot more backing if you were going to do something as crazy as summoning a demon who appears to be like a fucking prince of hell or something. Like he's obviously
Yeah.
high up in the food
Yeah.
chain because he's immune to so many things that should just absolutely destroy him.
He's a
So I was like,
top-notch demon.
he is a top-notch demon. And then do you remember the Zoroastrian connections to him and Meg? Because they use
Oh yeah.
Zoroastrian magic, don't they? And they're summoning the Deva.
Yeah.
So the acacia wood and resin was utilized in Zoroastrian rituals in ancient Persia to create sacred incense and other materials. It was believed to carry prayers to the heavens. So again, this is like an extra specific weapon that John is using. And as a magical practitioner, I have to give him a 10 out of 10 for this. Like, this is a good spell that he's put together. He's very smart.
Yeah. And Bobby obviously knows all of this as well because he's like, this isn't for protection.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, no, he's not going to do what he says he's going to do. This is a lie. He's about to summon that motherfucking demon.
Yeah. So that's what happens in the next scene, isn't it? Because Sam goes to Bobby and finds the smashed up car. Bobby's saying it's not worth saving, and Sam says that they can't do that as Dean wouldn't want that. And I liked when he said, even if there's only one working part, that's enough, and they're not gonna give up because the car is a metaphor for Dean.
It 100% is, and I love this so much. Sam is such a
cute.
baby brother in this scene.
Yeah.
I feel like it was so sweet, and it's like so clear that he is absolutely not allowing any belief into his head that Dean is not going to be better, because the Impala is the first thing that he thinks about, and he knows exactly how Dean's going to feel seeing the state the Impala's in. He's like, it doesn't matter what we have to do to fix it. It doesn't matter if we have to rebuild it from one part of this fucking car. We're gonna do it. And Bobby, because Bobby is a better father than John, is immediately like, yes, I understand exactly what you're saying, and that's what we're gonna do, kid. And he's so empathic and gentle and kind. He's just like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And I loved it. Loved it. I also wrote down no mullet wig on Bobby. Praise be to hair and makeup. It's like, that was hilarious. My other note was that since I think that Baby is also a Winchester, and the Winchesters are clearly on this like sacred mission, and they're chosen warriors because that's the kind of idea that's been slowly building throughout this season. That makes her the steed for this quest. And so I feel like her being broken and destroyed and then rebuilt is also pretty symbolic of like the quest that they're on, and but also the point that they're at now and how horrible everything is she's trash. Like currently she's trashed and she's destroyed. It would be like if you were Arthur and someone broke Excalibur. It's that level.
Yeah. Do they fix it? Is she going to? Well, I assume she's back because she's in all the other seasons, but I don't know
so
if
that's
it's a
not a
different car.
spoiler. They fix her.
But do they rebuild that car, or do they have another car that's the same?
No. Baby is a baby, okay?
Yeah.
Dean would never let her go to scrap any part of her. No. So that baby is baby. Baby gets saved, okay? It's like, I feel like she, to me, is like a dog. Like, she's like a living character to me. So, like, it'd be like if a dog was injured, I would need to know the dog was going to live. So, I'm telling you, Baby's going to live. Oh, I write down, Bobby is the sweetest, most dad-like character ever, and I was like, Bobby's already a better father than John immediately. I fucking love Bobby. I wonder how many bad dead kids like me have Bobby as an imaginary dad. And then I was like, lots,
Aw.
based on how popular his character is and how people demanded to see more of him. Because, like Laura pointed out, initially he was only supposed to be like a kind of one and done character, or maybe a two and done character. But no, everyone loves Bobby. So, back by popular demand, through like all the seasons, I think, we have Bobby.
Wait, when did I point that out?
A couple episodes ago.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. I've forgotten that.
It's a real thing. I didn't make it up, I swear to you.
I remember saying that he was a father figure. I don't remember saying that.
You brought it up from it was either an IMDb fact or it was behind the scenes stuff.
Okay. So Sam hands Bobby the list of John's demands. And this is where we know that John is up to something, because Bobby's acting like these things are definitely not for protection. We don't see the conversation, but he's obviously then told Sam that it's for summoning a demon based on the next scene.
Yeah.
Or like when the scene when Sam goes back into the hospital anyway.
Yeah, so basically Bobby is clearly trying to protect Sam's feelings from what John is gonna do. And I was like, Sam being all tell me the truth while Bobby is trying to protect him from John's horseshit is gold. Because again, Bobby is clearly the better dad figure. Just saying.
Yeah.
Because we end with Sam saying, Bobby, what's going on? And then we return with John looking over Dean's unconscious body while Dean himself is standing in the room. And he's saying, come on, Dad, you've got to help me. I've got to get better. I've got to get back in there. I mean, you haven't called a soul for help. You haven't even tried. Aren't you going to do anything? Are you ever going to say anything? And he's walking around the bed and he says, I've done everything you've ever asked me. Everything. I have given everything I've ever had. And you're just going to sit there and you're going to watch me die? I mean, what the hell kind of father are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is everything. But also I'm crying and I don't like it. I'm not a fan of them making me feel my feelings like this. But it was also kind of hot because Dean, who has said to us in previous episodes where he's talking to Sam about how he wishes he could stand up to the old man the way that Sam does, is actually standing up to him. But it's just fucking tragic because it's like what Laura was saying. When John was taken, Dean would stop at nothing to get John back. And now when it comes to fighting for Dean, it looks like on the surface, John is just standing there watching.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is what I wasn't really understanding the first time until I watched it the second time. Because I'd written down, I wrote, our poor Dean and his daddy issues. And then I wrote, I was with him though. Again, at this point, I was like, why is John not trying to help? But looking back now, he knew what he was going to do. He was just sitting there with Dean, knowing that he's already got a plan to fix it, so he doesn't need to find another option. Although, I do wonder why he didn't even try some other options first. He's just straight like, well, I'm going to just sacrifice myself. But I came to the conclusion that I think it's because he feels like he should have died in the cabin. He thinks Sam should have killed him. So he's trying to like right a wrong.
My theory is sort of similar, but I feel like he feels like he's failed as a father. I think he's come to a little bit of a realization. I think being this close to death but not dying has made him wake up to the fact that like they're alive. They're living these lives. And he was talking before about how he didn't expect to come out of this fight alive, right? Like he already had made up his mind that he was going to sacrifice himself. But then they get into this huge wreck and they're all really knocking on death's door for a minute. And it's Dean, the one who has always been his good boy, who is on the verge of death. And he knows that somebody's got to be there to watch over Sam. And he knows that, like, he obviously loves Sam and he doesn't want to leave Sam alone either. But, like, I feel like he thinks that what they're doing is most important. And he also talks in the other scene about how he could never see his children die. Like, he basically says that, like, he doesn't care about sacrificing himself, but he handle it if either of them died in front of him. Like he couldn't deal with it at all.
Yeah.
So I think that he knows that the demon's on their tail. He knows that the demon is after him. And he thinks that he can do this in a way that will somehow buy them something. Like that keeping them alive becomes so important, not just out of a father's love, but I think there's an element of strategy here. I think it's mostly motivated by father's love, but I think there's a little pinch of him thinking ahead and believing that actually maybe he's not the one to do it. Maybe it's his two boys. And that in and of itself is huge for him. Because this whole time I feel like
Yeah.
he's been wrapped up in his ego, being like, thinking that he's the best and that he's the most powerful and it has to be him. And then I think that they go through these fights together and John actually realizes that Sam and Dean together are the golden bullet, not him. And so he makes the only play that he believes that he can, which is to sacrifice himself to get Dean his life back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense too.
So when we go back into the scene, Dean is in the room with John and he hears something and he says, "What is that?" And then he goes out into the hallway and this spirit form, like ghost thing, whooshes past him and he jumps backwards. And he says to John, "I take it you didn't see that." So Dean, that was funny. He stalks the spirit down the hallways and he sees it go into a back hallway where a woman is lying on the floor choking and she's screaming, "Help, help." And Dean says, "Hey, I need some help in here." But obviously no one can hear him. And she's saying, "I can't breathe." And then she passes out and Dean is totally helpless. There's nothing he can do because he can't physically touch her to help her and no one can hear him. So he's completely stuck and terrified, basically. And then we go back into John's room and Sam
I had a
stalks into
question
the
though.
room. Yeah.
I had a question about the nurse. Why is it the nurse that's dying and not like a patient? That seemed weird to me. Because she's just all of a sudden just choking, laying on the floor.
It's odd. I assumed that she had some kind of weird, sudden allergic reaction to something or something.
Okay.
You know, and it's unfortunate, but people die all the time in all kinds of weird ways.
It was just an odd choice in a hospital when they had. It could have been like a patient, but
it was a little bit of an odd choice, and also, well, okay, I think it was a double bluff to make us think that Tessa's evil at first. It's just her time to die. Like whatever happened, because we know the kind of reaper that Tessa is. She's natural death, right? So I assume there's something like that happened to her that was unavoidable, or she had a heart condition or something, and that's the moment that her heart gives out, and it just happens that she's in this quieter hallway and there's no one around to see her to help her.
Yeah. So we think it's the Reaper just killing people for the sake of it instead of...
Exactly. Because it's setting up Tessa to be the bad guy at first, because it's that fake out, because we do think that she's the bad guy at first. So we go back into John's room and it's daytime and Sam stalks into the room with a duffel bag and Dean is kind of meeting him at the back of the door and then starts trying to talk to him. But obviously Sam doesn't quite get the message. So Dean's saying, "Sammy, tell me you can friggin' hear me, man. There's something in the hospital. Now you've got to bring me back and we've got to hunt this thing. Sam." And John's saying, "You're quiet." And Sam turns around and he is fucking raging, y'all. And he hurls this bag onto the bed at him. Like he is mad. And he says, "Did you think I wouldn't find out?" And John says, "What are you talking about?" Because John's default setting is to lie to his children. Okay, can we just... Ugh. Okay, so Sam says, "That stuff from Bobby, you don't use it to ward off a demon, you use it to summon one. You're planning on bringing the demon here, aren't you? Having some stupid macho showdown." And John's all quiet. And he says, "I have a plan." And Sam says, "That's exactly my point. Dean is dying and you have a plan. You know what? You care more about killing this demon than you do about saving your own son." And Dean in the background is also shouting and he says, "No, no, guys, don't do this." And your heart fucking breaks for him. And John
He's still
says,
in the middle.
He's still in the middle. He's fucking basically dead and he's still in the middle. Um,
Mhm.
and John says, "Do not tell me how I feel. I am doing this for Dean." And we know now that he is. Like, we know now that he's making this like huge sacrifice. And this is the
Yeah.
point where you kind of stop being like, okay, you're the worst father ever. And you start kind of loving him and like realizing what he's willing to give up for his children. So Sam says, "How? How is revenge going to help him? You're not thinking about anybody but yourself. It's the same selfish obsession." And Dean says, "Come on, guys, don't do this at the same time." And then at the same time again, because they're all screaming over each other. John's saying, "It's funny. I thought it was your obsession too. This demon killed your mother, killed your girlfriend. You begged me to be part of this hunt. And now, if you'd killed that damn thing when you had the chance, none of this would have happened." And I was like, "John, sit the fuck down. I'm angry again." Because
Yeah.
even knowing what he's gonna do, him saying that to Sam,
It's an emotional
fuck,
roller coaster.
it's inexcusable. It is an emotional roller coaster. It's like, shut up, John Winchester. Shut the fuck up.
Also, they're shouting really, really loudly about demons in a hospital. Like,
That is
other
a
people are gonna
really
hear them.
excellent point. No one's coming in long white coats being like, "I feel like you should talk to my colleague. What did you say about demons?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam saying, "It was possessing you, Dad. I would have killed you too." And John says, "Yeah, and your brother would be awake right now." And I was like, shut the fuck up, Jonathan. Why are you like this? Okay? Why are you like
Jonathan.
this? Dean says, "Shut up, both of you." And I was like, yeah. Sam says, "Go to hell." And John says, and I was like, oh, that's going to be traumatizing for you later when he actually
Oh.
gives his life to a demon. Because where do you go?
Oh,
Oh no.
no.
Oh no.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Can we get a uh-oh?
Uh-oh!
Yeah, there we go. Oh man. Okay, so John says, "I never should have taken you along in the first place. I knew it was a mistake. I knew I was wrong." And Dean goes, "I said shut up." And he smacks a glass of water off the table and it goes flying and crashing into the floor. And there's this moment, and Sam and John look at each other and they're confused. And Dean looks
They're like, what the?
Yeah, he's like, "What?" But he's also like, "Dude, I full on Swayze'd that mother." And I was like, that is one of my favorite supernatural quotes. Okay, easily. That was amazing.
I liked that. Love a ghost
I
reference.
also thought that angry Sam in this scene, by the way, was hot as fuck. Okay, I love a raging Sam. I'm here for
Can
raging
confirm.
Sam. Yeah. So, Dean then crumples in pain and he's flickering, and nurses and doctors start running down the hallway. And I write down, "Dean ghost flickers. My heart is in my butt." Because
I wasn't a fan of this effect.
did you think
Was
it
it
was
supposed
janky?
to be? Yeah, was it supposed to be because he was being like resuscitated with the paddles, so it's supposed to be like electricity or something?
Okay, so when we've seen spirits in the show, and they do that weird ghost flicker, right? So in my opinion, it's a combination between we're supposed to believe that Dean is actually dying and disappearing, and also he's doing a ghost flicker thing. So he's now the thing that he hunts usually. And so then when Tessa says to him later, "How do you think angry spirits are born?" we go, oh fuck, he is becoming an angry spirit because he did the scary flicker thing as well.
Okay,
so Dean says, "What is it?" And then John says something's going on out there, and then he jerks his head indicating the like go find out to Sam. And then it's the interior of Dean's hospital room, and the monitors are going fucking crazy, and there's doctor and nurses, and they're trying to resuscitate Dean. Wow, resuscitate is hard to say. Resuscitate. Say that 3 times fast. Okay, so
resuscitate.
You bitch. Said with love, but that was mean. She's getting her own back for the haunted Barbie, y'all. It's starting again. Okay, so the doctor says, "All clear." And Sam's huddled in the doorway and he's crying and he's saying no. And oh my God, his eyes are so green in this scene. He is
Yeah.
so heartbroken.
I didn't notice that eyes were green. I think I messaged you, didn't I? And I said,
Yeah.
since when was his eyes green?
Yeah, because everything has been filmed so dark and so brooding with such a kind of either desaturated or browned up color grade that I always thought that he had brown eyes up until this scene. I went, oh, they both have green eyes. What do you mean? His eyes are so pretty. They're so pretty. And the thing is, it shakes you. Okay, it shakes you a little bit because he's a beautiful man crying beautiful tears from his beautiful suddenly green eyes. It's a great
Suddenly
scene.
green.
Suddenly green. I stand by that.
Green eyes are the best.
Green eyes are the best. Green eyes are actually
I have
super
green eyes.
rare. Did you know that that's one of the rarest colors in the world?
I'm just a rare person.
You are. You're very rare and very special. Okay. So the nurse says, still no pulse. And the doctor says, okay, let's go again. 360. And the nurse says, charging. And there's kind of a close-up of Sam's face crying and fidgeting. And Dean in ghost form comes slowly behind him, and he sees a ghostly figure floating over his body on the bed. And he screams, you get the hell away from me. And then he runs to the bed and he's facing it down and he's yelling and he says, I said get back. And he's grabbing for the spirit. And in the meantime, Sam looks like he's hearing something. Like he looks confused, but he definitely looks like he's picking up something. And we go, huh.
He can hear him.
Yeah. So Dean grabs for the spirit, latches on momentarily, and then it's unclear to me whether she pushes him back or if the force of him trying to throw her away kind of propels him backwards.
Yeah.
But it's really fast and kind of violent and scary. And then the spirit kind of whooshes. Yeah, it's scary.
She looks scary.
She looks a lot like a banshee in this scene. So she has these kind of hollow or black looking eyes. And she's dressed kind of in rags. And it really reminded me of the Morrigan in the Grey Lady lore that you get about her, how she looks kind of scary as the washer at the ford. It's that kind of moment. So Dean is chasing after her. And meanwhile, the nurse is saying, we have a pulse. We're back into sinus rhythm. And so the spirits vanish. Dean can't find her. And Sam, meanwhile, is like breathing a sigh of relief and has kind of backed away into the hallway and is watching from there. And again, your heart is breaking for him because this man has been through so much in such a short span of time. You just want to hug him, okay? You just want to wrap him up in your arms and tell him that everything is going to be okay. So Dean comes back and stands by him and says, don't worry, Sammy, I'm not going anywhere. I'm getting that thing before it gets me. It's some kind of spirit, but I could grab it. And if I can grab it, I can kill it. So Sam looks over to see where Dean was and he's confused. And Dean wanders the halls and then hears a girl yelling. But this is definitely all leading us to believing that Sam can hear Dean. And we start to go, huh. So there's a girl yelling. And can I just say Tessa is gorgeous, all right? Because this girl is Tessa and she's hot. Okay? She's super hot.
I was like, I know her from something, and I had to look it up, and it's One Tree Hill, because I was like, this is gonna drive me crazy if I cannot think where she's from. But she's Haley's sister in One Tree Hill.
Yep. I totally forgot about that. And then I thought that I'd figured out what it was that I knew her from. And then you told me that because we were messaging back and forth. And I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. I loved that show.
Yep. Okay. So to return back to the scene, she says, can't you see me? Why won't you look at me? And Dean says, now what? And she's shouting, somebody talk to me. Say something, please. And Dean says, can you see me? And the girl says, yeah.
That was a funny quote, though, because Dean's like, because she's shouting, and he's like, now what? As if to say, like, I haven't got time for this.
Oh, yeah, no,
I thought that was really funny.
It is really funny. Okay, so Dean says, can you see me? And she says, yeah. And he says, all right, just calm down. What's your name? And she says, Tessa. And we remember that her name means Reaper, okay? And death, basically. And that's fun for us. So Dean says, okay, good. Tessa, I'm Dean. And Tessa says, "What's happening to me? Am I dead?" And Dean says, "That sort of depends." And then we see Tessa standing outside of a hospital room with Dean, looking at what is apparently Tessa's body, which is hooked up to all these tubes and machines, basically in the same state as Dean. And there's a woman sitting by her bed. We assume it's her mother holding her hand. And her body language is like really sad. And it's just, it hits you. It hits you in the feels. Okay. And Tessa says, "I don't understand. I just came in for an appendectomy." And Dean made me laugh because he goes, "Well,
Yeah,
I hate
me
to bear
too.
bad news, but I think there were some complications."
That was
I
good.
was like, "Bro." So she says, "It's just a dream. That's all. It's just a very weird, unbelievably vivid dream." And Dean says, "Tessa, it's not a dream." And she says, "What else could it be?" And he says, "You ever heard of an out-of-body experience?" And Tessa says, "What are you, some new agey guy?" And Dean says, "You see me messing with crystals or listening to Yanni?" And that made me laugh. And he
Yeah.
says, "It's actually a very old idea. Get a lot of different names. Bilocation, crisis apparition, fetches. I think it's happening to us. And if it is, it means we're spirits of people close to death." And I have a fun little Easter eggs for you guys, okay? Because Laura, when she was like, "I don't know what your Easter egg is going to be," was like, "I really think out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences would be cool, Joy." And I was like, "Okay, say no more.
Yeah.
Say no more." And I have so many pages of notes. So I'm going to pick the best ones to read to you now for time.
Okay.
But I think you guys are going to really,
I'm
really
excited.
enjoy it. I'm excited too. So I'm going to start with a scientific study, because if I don't put this scientific study in this episode, I will kick myself. And then I'm going to read you my favorite bilocation or crisis apparition story. So the University of Southampton did the world's largest near-death experience study. And what they came back with
Ooh.
is fascinating. And it really, I think, bears questioning a lot of things. Okay. This makes me so curious about so many things. So they said recollections in relation to death, or so-called out-of-body experiences or near-death experiences, are often spoken about as a phenomenon which have frequently been considered hallucinatory or illusory in nature. However, objective studies on these experiences are limited. So basically, because there's so few studies that could actually cover this, and because the method of doing that was so complicated, it had never been done before. And so science has always been like, well, these are just hallucinations. But the plot thickens,
Yeah.
all right? Because with this study, they managed to do it. All right.
Ooh.
So in 2008, a large-scale study involving 2,060 patients from 15 hospitals in the United Kingdom, United States, and Austria was launched. They called it the AWARE campaign, meaning awareness during resuscitation. And the study examined the broad range of mental experiences in relation to death. Researchers also tested the validity of conscious experiences using objective markers for the first time in a large study to determine whether claims of awareness compatible with out-of-body experiences corresponded with real or hallucinatory events. So, they're like, okay, when people say that they saw themselves floating over their bodies, or they claim that they saw things 2 or 3 floors up, is that real? Can we actually document it? So the results of the study have been published in the journal Resuscitation and are now available online. But this is an excerpt. So the study concludes, the themes relating to the experience of death appear far broader than what has been understood so far, or what has been described as so-called near-death experiences. In some cases of cardiac arrest, memories of visual awareness compatible with so-called out-of-body experiences may correspond with actual events. So they actually documented it.
Ooh.
There were people in the room that corresponded with post resuscitation interviews of the patient. So what the patient said they saw happening was actually what was happening to them. They were in the room, out of their body, and aware. Or at least this is what it looks like, right? So this is insanely cool. Okay.
That is cool.
Mm-hmm. A higher proportion of people may have vivid death experiences, but do not recall them due to the effects of brain injury or sedative drugs on memory circuits. So basically, they established that the percentage of people whose accurate recall happened and is driving the research was smaller than the people who had issues remembering what was happening. So they can't actually effectively say how many people overall have this experience, because they think that the injuries to the brain, the trauma of dying, and all the drugs is probably interfering for a lot of people. So it may be that there are actually more people who have and could validate these experiences, but at the time we just can't confirm it because of those circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this one particular case that was really interesting that occurred while someone was having a cardiac arrest, and Dr. Parnia concluded that it's so significant since it's often been assumed that experiences in relation to death are likely hallucinations, occurring either before the heart stops or after the heart has been successfully restarted, but not an experience corresponding with real events when the heart isn't beating. But in this case, consciousness and awareness appeared to occur during a 3-minute period when there was no heartbeat. Okay? This is paradoxical since brain typically stops functioning altogether within 20 to 30 seconds of the heart stopping and doesn't resume again until the heart has been restarted. Furthermore, the detailed recollections of visual awareness in this case were consistent with verified events.
Oh,
Goosebumps.
yeah. That's
So
cool.
that's like you were legit dead. You were dead for
Yeah.
3 minutes and you saw and recalled everything that happened in the room.
Yeah, that's cool.
Right? That's so cool. Okay, so I also went onto Reddit because I love Reddit for stuff like this. And I found a group of people who are commenting on this thread called "Today I Learned About Crisis Apparition," which is one of the terms used for like bilocation or out of body experiences.
Uh-huh.
And so there are so many, but I'm gonna try to pick the best one.
Love a Reddit thread.
I love a Reddit thread. So this one says, my brother was in a hospital with sepsis. He'd been in and out of an induced coma for a month. He wasn't doing well on these last days, but there were no indications of any serious decline. We were renting a house as his hospital was 400 miles from home, and after seeing him, our parents and I went to a bar en route to the house. It was a Friday night, and the bar was busy and loud. We sat at a high table on one end of the bar. Dad was getting drinks. Mum and I were at the table looking at the crowd. I then noticed my brother sitting opposite and waving to me. He wasn't complete, as in he was about 50% visible to me, like someone in your peripheral vision or off to one side. I said his name and he started talking to me, but I couldn't hear him over the music. Lip reading, he seemed to be saying, I'm okay, and waving to me.
Mm.
I said his name again and he smiled. I looked at Mum next to me, but she was looking elsewhere, not hearing me. I looked back and my brother had disappeared. I checked the time and it was exactly 10 p.m. I said nothing to anyone, but I don't really know why. The next morning, we were all in the ICU lounge when the doctor came in. He broke the news that he had died overnight. We were in shock. Dad asked when this was, as he wanted to know if we were with him or if it was after we had left. The doctor said the life support machine data suggested he went at 10 p.m.
So you went to say goodbye.
He went to say goodbye, yeah.
Aww.
I know, right? I love that story because it's just it's really real and it's really heartfelt. And I know from my experience and from friends' experiences, things like that can really give a family peace when someone
Yeah.
comes to say, hey, I'm all right, I'm okay, I'm saying goodbye, but I'm fine. I just think that those stories are my favorites. They're really beautiful and really comforting.
Yeah, I like those ones too.
Me too. So basically, to dive back into the scene, Tessa says, so are we going to die? And Dean says, no, not if we hold on. Our bodies can get better. We can snap right back in there and wake up. Because that's what he really believes he can do at the time. And then we go into John's room and John's saying, what do you mean you felt something? And Sam's saying, I mean, it felt like Dean, like he was there just out of eye shot or something. I don't know if it's my psychic thing or what, but do you think it's even possible? I mean, do you think his spirit could be around? And John says, anything's possible. And Sam says, well, there's only one way to find out. And John says, where are you going? And Sam says, I gotta pick something up. I'll be back. And John says, wait, Sam, I promise I won't hunt this demon, not until we know Dean's okay. And Sam nods and then he leaves. But that was kind of a nice father-son moment, I thought.
Yeah, although on my first watch through, I was like, 1, I don't believe him. And 2, Dean actually did this for him last episode.
Yep.
So Tessa and Dean are talking about fate. And then there's a fun fact, because there's a doctor gets called over the tannoy. And it's Dr. Kripke. So a link back to Eric Kripke. And
it
also,
is? Oh my God. I never
and he's also
noticed
getting
that.
called. And it might just be because I have the subtitles on. And he's getting called to room 237. So there's a show Easter egg and a Stephen King Easter egg.
Oh my God, there's a Stephen King reference.
And it was confirmed on IMDb because it says on IMDb trivia, it says Dr. Kripke, the doctor who attends one of the Winchesters on an emergency at the hospital. That doesn't make sense. Is a reference to executive producer and sometimes writer Eric Kripke. He is also called to room 237 for a code blue. Room 237 is significant in The Shining.
It is, you bet. And then also when John goes down into the basement later, it's very much like the Overlook Hotel and Danny and Dr. Sleep going to take out
the boiler room.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the code is for a little girl who is dying and the Reaper is there again. So Dean tries to save her like he saved himself earlier. He tries to grab it. But it doesn't work and she dies. And Dean looks so sad when she dies.
Yeah. It breaks my heart. Like, Dean really, really cares about kids. It's one of my favorite things about him.
Although he can't name any.
He can't name 3 children that he even knows.
Name 3 children, you know.
Yeah, I love that part. So there's a line where the nurse says, at least she's not suffering anymore. And Dean sort of looks kind of stunned, but also like there's something like he's thinking. And in the conversation that they have before, Tessa says, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. It's just fate. And I wrote down, she's Meet Joe Black and she is actively working to impress Dean. She is totally flirting with him. And I love this part of the conversation because I feel like it ties in a little bit with a conversation that they have later on. And I feel like Dean's starting to think about death in a more complex way, in a less black and white way in this episode. And I thought that was really cool. I feel like his character is kind of deepening, and it is interesting to see Dean tackling a complex issue like death and dying the way that he tackles it in this episode. It's affecting him really deeply and really, really, really personally. He's still so kind and empathic for other people. He's still trying to be the hero and save the little girl. But he's also processing what he's hearing about death itself. And that starts to, I feel like, inform on his relationship with Tessa in subtle and interesting ways. So I love the art of this episode. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So Sam enters Dean's hospital room at night and he's carrying something in a paper bag. And he says, hey, I think maybe you're around. And if you are, don't make fun of me for this. But, well, there's one way we can talk. And then he pulls out a Ouija board. And Dean's standing behind him and he's crossing his arms and he's going, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So Sam sits down on the floor and he pulls the board out and sets it up. And then he says, Dean, are you here? And Dean says, God, I feel like I'm at a slumber party. And he's kind of like slumps down. He's like sulking about this. And he's like, all right, Sam, this isn't going to work. But basically he's like willing to try. So he says it isn't going to work, but then he still puts his hands out. So, hypocrite.
Yeah.
So Sam puts his hands on the pointer and Dean puts his hands on the pointer as well. And Sam's like, obviously asked, are you here? And Dean slides it to yes. And Dean goes, I'll be damned. And
Sam's face is like, what? He's so excited.
Face is amazing. I love it so much. And then he's laughing, but he's like clearly relieved. And he says, it's good to hear from you, man. It hasn't been the same without you, Dean. And Dean goes, damn straight. And that cracked me up too.
They're so cute. They're so
They
cute with
are.
their little Ouija board conversation.
They give me life. So Dean puts his fingers on the pointer again and starts sliding it around. And Sam says, Dean, what hunting? What are you hunting? And the pointer slides back to yes. And Sam says, it's in the hospital what you're hunting. Do you know what it is? And Dean says, one question at a time, dude. And Sam says, what is it? And then Dean spells out REAP. And he says, I don't think it's killing people. I think it's just taking them, when their time's just up. And Sam says, a reaper. Dean, is it after you? And he slides it to yes. And then he says, if it's here naturally, there's no way to stop it. And Dean says, yeah, you can't kill death, which I thought was a funny line. And Sam says, man, you're a... And Dean says, I'm screwed, Sam. And Sam goes, no. There's got to be a way. And then he's pacing and he says, there's got to be a way. Dad'll know what to do. And then he leaves the room. And he goes to John's room, but it's empty.
Is there a film that's from? Because I watched this episode 3 times, and every time Sam's like, there's got to be a way, I was like, there's got to be a way, but I can't think of what it's from.
I don't know either. I have the same issue. If you guys are listening to this and please write into the show and tell us and put us out of our misery.
Please, because I Googled it and everything, and I still couldn't work out what it was. It's driving me crazy. It's got to be a way.
Idea. I have no idea. It's definitely from something, though.
Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, Sam says Dad will know what to do and goes to John's room, but he's not there. Dun dun dun.
He's up to shenanigans.
Yeah, in the hospital boiler room. This is where he starts drawing the glyphs on the floor, and which is part of the ritual to summon the demon. But we only really see that briefly to start with. He just gets his chalk out and starts it. And then it cuts back to Sam and Dean in Dean's room. And Sam has found John's journal. Oh, and Dean says, thanks for not giving up on me, Sammy. And I just put a little heart emoji.
Yeah, I wrote number 1, adorable. Number 2, oh my God, Dean is beautiful. The lighting, the bone structure, the brooding looks.
He's so cute.
He is. He's amazing.
Then Sam's flipping through the journal and Dean's looking over his shoulder and he notices something on the Reaper page. He's worked out that Tessa is the Reaper from whatever he's read. And he goes to confront her.
Yep. And I wrote, I love his son of a bitch, because when he sees the page, he says, son of a bitch. And I was like, it's iconic. He makes it iconic. And then I put angry striding. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This is it. This is the sexiest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So Dean figures out that Tess is the Reaper and confronts her. And she says, I was wondering when you would figure it out. And Dean says, I should have known the whole accepting fate rap of yours is far too laid back for a dead chick. But the mother and the body, I'm still trying to figure that one out. And she says, it's my sandbox. I can make you see whatever I want. And Dean says, what is this, like a turn on for you? What, toying with me? And she says, you didn't give me much of a choice. You saw my true form and you flipped out. Kind of hurts the girl's feelings. This was the only way I could get you to talk to me. And Dean says, okay, fine, we're talking. What the hell do you want to talk about? And she says, how death is nothing to fear. And then she caresses his face. And it's beautiful. And there's chemistry. And I loved it. And she says, it's your time to go, Dean. And you're living on borrowed time already. And we know that she's referring to the fact that, like, technically Dean's life was stolen from that guy when Sam had him healed before. So again, there's layers on layers.
I love it.
Layers on layers.
I was just like, no, it's not his time.
Yeah, I know. So my notes go, you didn't give me much of a choice. And I said, okay, girl, you just said reality is your plaything. And then I said, your feelings were hurt. I get it. He's very beautiful. Okay. If he had screamed and thrown me, my feelings would have been hurt too. I wrote down where she says, death is nothing to fear. It's your time to go, Dean. And his face, when she touches his face, is like unreadable. But I think there's a lot of back and forth between the two of them. And I was like, I think death has the hots for Dean. We always want what we can't have. Because he keeps escaping death, doesn't he? I was like, oh, we always want what we can't have.
Yes, this will be twice that he's escaped death now.
Yep.
When he's lived when he should have died.
Yep.
I wonder if that will have some repercussions further down the line.
Oh, girl. I can't say anything, but oh.
So,
I love it. Okay, so we're now in the boiler room, which, like we said before, there's Stephen King vibes. And John has finished the chalk symbol and put the bowls out, and then he recites stuff in Latin, and then he cuts a knife across his palm, drawing blood and dropping it into the bowl, and then he lights a match and he drops it into the bowl of what I assume is saltpeter. And he stands up and he's looking around, and there's a man there with him, and he looks like he's a repair guy. And he says, "What the hell are you doing down here, buddy?" And John says, "I can explain." And the guy says, "Yeah, you're going to explain to security. Come on, you follow me." But John is not falling for this bullshit. So he pulls the Colt out and cocks it and says, "Hey, how stupid do you think I am?" Turns out it's the demon. And his eyes start a-glowing. And he says, "Do you really want an honest answer to that?" And that cracked me up. I was like, You just got burned, John. You just got burned by a demon.
That's funny. My notes for this bit was, John's performing a casual demon summoning ritual in the hospital boiler room. That seems safe. What if the demon goes after everyone in the hospital?
That is an excellent point, And this is another good example of why John is kind of arrogant. Although I will say that his ritual, as we established from my nerdy breakdown, is actually pretty safe. So he may have actually, got him good. So the demon says, "You conjuring me, John? I'm surprised. I took you for a lot of things, but suicidally reckless wasn't one of them." And John says, "I could always shoot you." And the demon says, "You could always miss." And then he laughs. And he says, "And you've only got one try, don't you? Do you really think that you could trap me?" And John says, "Oh, I don't want to trap you." And then he lowers the gun and he says, "I want to make a deal." And the demon looks super fucking intrigued. He's like, "What?" This is, I feel like, the last thing that he was ever expecting, but he's into it because he's like, "Oh, surprises." And that's fun for us.
I really like the actor that plays the yellow-eyed demon in this episode. I think he's really good.
Excellent.
He's really scary.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's amazing. I love him.
I have a fun fact as well about the contact lenses. So apparently the yellow contact lenses made it hard for the actors to see, and there's two actors complained of this apparently. So him and Tessa. So it says on IMDb, so Frederick, I don't know how you say his name, Frederick Lane, who's the guy that plays the yellow-eyed demon at the moment, hated the contact lenses he had to wear for his role as they obscured his vision, meaning he frequently missed his marks. And then Tessa, the actress who played Tessa, says when the yellow-eyed demon is possessing the Reaper, the actress couldn't see due to the contacts. So Jensen had to keep moving her hand closer to his face, as seen on the gag reel. So both of them, I don't know what they're using on these contact lenses, but no one can see when they're wearing them. Yeah, so that's my fun fact. Also, I had a note at this point saying, making a deal with a demon doesn't seem like a very smart idea. Why would you sacrifice yourself? Why would John sacrifice himself and trust the demon to keep his end of the bargain when he can't be there to check? He's not going to be able to check that Dean's okay.
Because he says that he has to see that Dean's okay with his own eyes before he gives him the Colt.
Yeah, but how does he know the demon isn't just going to go and kill Dean straight after he's killed John?
Because of the way that magic works. So if you are into magical practices, then a bargain struck is kept. Any kind of spirit, demon, whatever. Because John used his summoning spell correctly and has all of his ingredients in line, and they have a very specific bargain in place, he knows that what's being said will be kept. Like, he hasn't left wiggle room in what he said. He said specifically that Dean has to be completely okay. He has to be saved, and that he has to see with his own eyes that Dean is actually okay before he hands him over the payment. So it works, but it only works if you're a nerd and you read lots of fantasy.
Surely there's a demon loophole. Like, once the deal is over, surely Dean is then fair play, because Dean's going to keep trying to kill this demon.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he
I
could
mean,
just be
he
like,
knows that.
right, well, now I'm going to kill him.
Oh, no. He knows that. And he thinks that it's funny because remember, they're having that conversation later on. And John says, Dean's not going to be a threat to you. And our demon guy says, yeah, in truth, while I'm angry at him, he doesn't seem like he's going to be much of a threat. In his mind, Yellow Eyes is planning on bringing Dean back, getting John to hell, right? Because he sold his soul to him. So getting John to hell, he's dead, he's out of the picture. He thinks he's the most dangerous. And then he thinks that he can kill Dean and avenge his kids that Dean took out.
Yeah.
That's his exact plan. John knows that too, but John has an idea that the boys are going to be able to kill Yellow Eyes. So this is his plan to set them up to be able to do that, because if Dean's dead, then everyone's fucked.
Okay.
So Sam is in the hospital room and he says, Dean, are you here? And he's looking around and he says, I couldn't find anything in the book. I don't know how to help you, but I'll keep trying, all right? As long as you keep fighting. I mean, come on, you can't leave me here alone with that. We'll kill each other. You know that. Dean, you gotta hold on. You can't go, man. Not now. We're just starting to be brothers again. Can you hear me?
Aww.
My heart.
That bit was
okay.
Heartbreaking.
My heart. I was like, don't make me cry. Stop it. Such a good episode.
Also, it was doubly sad because Dean wasn't actually there at that point either, so we didn't hear Sam saying that.
Yeah. Sam's so alone. He's so alone in that moment. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because Dean's with Tessa bargaining for his life instead.
Exactly.
And he's saying that his family needs him, and she tells him that if he stays, he'll become an angry spirit who can't let go and can't move on. So that's we've already said about that bit. But that was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool too, where she says that his death is an honorable death and that it's a warrior's death. And I was like, ooh, again, she's giving me the Morgan. She's giving me chooser of the slain. She's giving me, this is an honor. And she's flirting with him. She says, that's funny. You're very cute. That's one of her lines. And I was like, girl, I know you like him. And so she and Dean are debating. But basically she says to him, well, like you said, there's always a choice. I can't make you come with me, but you're not getting back in your body. And that's just facts. So yes, you can stay. You'll stay here for years, disembodied, scared. And over the decades, it'll probably drive you mad. Maybe you'll even get violent. And Dean looks absolutely horrified and he says, what are you saying? And she says, Dean, how do you think angry spirits are born? They can't let go and they can't move on. And you're about to become one. The same thing that you hunt. And his face when she says that is like, oh God, my heart was through the fucking floor. Like, it's just, it hits you. It really, really, really hits you.
Yeah.
So we go back to the boiler room with the demon and John. And the demon says, it's very unseemly making deals with devils. How do I know this isn't just another trick? And I love the thing that he's worried about is that John is going to trick him. All right? It's like the lore of John Winchester. Demons scared to enter into bargains with John Winchester. John basically says, no, it's not a trick. And the demon says, why, John, you're a sentimentalist. If only your boys knew how much their daddy loved them. And I was like, even the father, fucking demon, okay, who's like the big bad, is like, John, you're a terrible dad. Your children don't even know that you care. And like, there's that whole scene with Dean where Dean's like, don't you even love me at all? And he has no idea. Okay. And Sam's like, do you even care about Dean? Like, there are no words. Okay.
Yeah.
So then John continues saying that it's a good trade. And he says, you care a hell of a lot more about this gun than you do about Dean. And the demon says, don't be so sure. He killed some people very special to me. But still, you're right. He isn't much of a threat. And neither is your other son. And John lowers his head and then he raises his eyes and he says, you know the truth, right? About Sammy and the other children? And John says, yeah, I've known for a while. And we're like, you son of a bitch. You knew this whole time. You knew everything.
He knows.
John damn Winchester. So the demon says, but Sam doesn't, does he? You've been playing dumb. And John says, can you bring Dean back? Yes or no? And the demon says, no, but I know someone who can. It's not a problem. And he's clearly plotting evil misdeeds, okay? And John says, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't literally, he just says good. And then he says that before he gives him the gun, he wants to make sure that Dean is actually going to be okay, and he has to see that with his own eyes. And the demon says, "Oh, John, I'm offended. Don't you trust me?" And then he shakes his head like tut tut tut, and then he's like, "Fine." And I was just like, "Oh, oh, oh!" I love demon banter. It's just it's one of my favorite things ever. He's so evil. He's so evil. It's good.
Yeah. He's
It's
so
everything.
good.
He's so scary.
Yeah.
So John says, "Do we have a deal?" And he says, "No, John, not yet. You still need to sweeten the pot." And John says, "With what?" And the demon says, "There's something else I want, as much as that gun, maybe more." And we all know what that is.
So is
So
that he wants John?
he wants John. Yeah.
Yeah. He's scary.
He is fucking scary.
Also, why doesn't he just kill John? Like, why does he need to make a deal? And also, like, if I was him, I'd just risk it because they've only got one gun. They've only got one bullet left, and they've kind of wasted them. This gun was made, I don't know how long ago, and it had 13 bullets, was it? And they had 6, and they've already wasted 5 of them.
I hear you. And my argument is that John has more fighting experience than probably any other hunter on the world. And there's a reason why the demons tried to gang up to take him out, because he is absolutely fucking dangerous. He's John Winchester. And they've been busy building up his lore this whole time, right? Telling us that if John has the gun, he won't miss. And even the demon believes that. Even the demon believes that. So he doesn't see it as worth the risk because he absolutely knows that John will shoot him, kill him, and not miss. And the only reason why he's there and still alive, and why John hasn't just summoned him into the summoning circle and then shot him in the face immediately and killed him, is because John wants something. And that's Dean. He wants Dean back. So his plan was to summon the demon. He obviously knows what his glyph is, right? He was going to summon the demon and shoot him in the head. It's a good plan. It's a solid plan. And we know that they know what devil's traps are. So he could have summoned him into a trap that he couldn't have gotten out of and then just shot him. Dead. Done. So Azazel clearly realizes that that is what will happen if he doesn't agree to this plan.
Yeah.
And it makes the sacrifice more. You know what I'm saying? It's darker. It's deeper. Yeah.
So then we're back with Tessa and Dean, and she's asking what he has decided to do. And just as he's about to tell her, the electricity starts buzzing in the room. And Dean's like, "What? Why are you doing that?" And Tessa says it isn't her. And then the really rubbish demon smoke
demon dust
comes out of the vent, like, because obviously it's hanging around an event like it was in Phantom Traveller, and possesses Tessa. That was scary though, especially when she's screaming, like the demon smoke going into her mouth. That was really scary.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Yeah. And then she turns around towards Dean and she has yellow eyes. And then the yellow-eyed demon says, "Today's your lucky day, kid." And then she touches Dean on the head and he wakes up in the hospital bed. And my note was just, surely being brought back to life by a demon isn't a good thing. Does this mean Dean will now be controlled by the demon or owe him something in some way? I don't like it.
I like your thought process. That is the creepy thought process. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. That was scary.
It is scary. So Sam realizes that Dean is coming too, and he's nearby, and then he screams for help in the hallway. And then the next scene, the doctor is saying, "I can't explain it. The edema has vanished, the internal contusions are healed, your vitals are good, you have some kind of angel watching over you." And I was like, because that's the angel of death who has a huge crush on him, by the way. And then also a fallen angel who was forced to like heal him.
Yeah.
So it's a twofer.
Yeah.
It's a twofer. And I love that. I thought that was hilarious.
That was good. Oh, I thought it was annoying that Dean doesn't remember anything though. So in the next bit, Sam's like, "So you don't remember anything?" And I was like, that's annoying. So he doesn't remember that the yellow-eyed demon is the reason he woke up, and he doesn't remember all the stuff with Tessa.
That's Meet Joe Black. Like, I'm convinced that they are pulling from Meet Joe Black, which, can I just say, is one of my favorite movies of all time, because at the end, after her father dies, she doesn't remember Joe anymore, and you're like crying. I think they wanted to do something similar between Dean and Tessa,
Okay,
because
that makes sense.
is kind of gut wrenching, and
Yeah.
and it's dark, and this is supernatural, so they're here to hurt us and stomp on our feelings.
Yeah.
So then John comes
Oh,
in, doesn't he?
yeah, and he still looks hot. How? Why?
He looks so sexy. He looks so. I wrote down, why is Jeffrey Dean Morgan so handsome? It's physically painful in this scene. Jesus, the charm, the dimples, the beautiful dark eyes. Sam clearly gets the charm from this man. Because you know how Sam has the ability to charm the pants off of anybody and get them to do anything? And like, even Dean says it when he's alone in Scarecrow. He's like, if my brother was here, he would look at you with those big eyes and you would just do whatever he says. This is where he gets it.
As soon as he comes in, Sam starts questioning him again and starting an argument. And John's like, look, can we not fight? Because obviously he knows that he's about to die.
Yep.
And he says he's made mistakes, but he's done the best that he could. And he says he doesn't want to fight anymore. And he looks like he's on the verge of tears. And I just wrote,
on the verge of tears. I couldn't take it. I was not okay.
I wrote, once again, John being too nice prompts one of his sons to ask if he's okay. So he's like, you're usually a massive asshole. Are you all right?
Yeah. I wrote down Sam crying low key. Dad, are you all right? And then I put, because only death could make you this nice / emotionally available to me.
Yeah. And then he tries to get rid of Sam. So this bit made me laugh because he says he sends Sam for a cup of caffeine. I was like, such a weird thing to say. Can you go get me a cup of caffeine?
Yeah. Oh, there's this line between Dean and John that made me bawl my eyes out, okay? And it's because this is what all of the kids like me who got fucking parentified and fucked up, this is what we all need to hear. And it hits me every single time. John says, you know, when you were a kid, I'd come back from a hunt, and after what I'd seen, I'd be wrecked. And you'd come up to me and you'd put your hand on my shoulder and you'd look at me in the eye and you'd say, it's okay, Dad. And there's this pause. Oh. And he's holding back tears and he says, Dean, I'm sorry. And Dean says, what? Because again, John does not express emotions. Okay, guys? And John says, you shouldn't have had to say that to me. I should have been saying that to you. You know, I put too much on your shoulders. I made you grow up too fast. You took care of Sammy. You took care of me. You did that. And you didn't complain, not once. I just want you to know that I am so proud of you. And Dean says, is this really you talking? And I wrote down, because the last time you were nice to me, it was a fucking demon.
I wrote, because once again, John Winchester is usually such an asshole. His sons don't think it's him.
Yeah. So John says, yeah, it's really me. And Dean says, why are you saying this stuff? And John comes closer and puts a hand on Dean's shoulder. And he says, I want you to watch out for Sammy, okay? And Dean, oh my God, Dean in this moment, he says, yeah, Dad, you know I will. You're scaring me. And he just looks so vulnerable and so good looking. And it's hard. It's hard to watch him be that vulnerable and also that handsome at the same time. It's difficult for me, okay? And then John says, don't be scared, Dean. And he leans over and he whispers something into Dean's ear, which we don't know what he says. And Dean pulls back in shock and he's processing. And John leaves and then Dean's staring after him.
Yeah. That was really sad. Like, Dean is just kind of looking as if he's just been told his puppy's dead.
Yep.
And I was really stressed.
Me too. I write down, don't be scared, Dean. And then proceeds to tell him the most mind-blowing, terrifying shit ever. This is classic JW.
I had a side note. I was like, I can't help but wonder if there's going to be bloopers from this part when I get to watch them. So at the end of this season, when I can watch the blooper reel, because I think it would be really funny if when John's like leaning over to whisper if Jeffrey Dean Morgan was like saying funny things instead.
Yeah.
Because I would have done that.
Just like, don't crack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have totally done that.
Yep.
So then John walks into another room and puts the Colt down and says, okay. And I just went, I'm sorry, but this was a thirst trap.
Whew, girl. Same page. Okay, same page. I wrote down, I am distracted by how hot Jeffrey Dean Morgan is. And then I had tears burning in my eyes. And I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to analyze this while crying and also thirst trapped at the same time.
I was like, how does he look this hot? He's about to die. And then we get a sad bit, because then Sam's walking down the corridor with his cup of caffeine and he sees John on the floor, like dead on the floor, and in slow motion he drops the coffee and runs to his dad screaming for help. And I was like, this is very traumatic.
Yep.
And then it cuts to the doctors trying to resuscitate John, but this is unsuccessful. And then the doctor calls his time of death, which is 10:41 a.m. And then that's the blackout and the end of the episode. And I was just like, what? What has just happened?
I was not okay. And Dean this whole time is screaming, no, it's our dad. It's our dad.
Yeah.
And I was crying.
It's sad.
Oh, yeah. I can't handle it. I love this episode. I watch it all the time, but I can't handle it at the same time. Like, it's so good, but it's so, it hits you. It hits you in the feels, dude.
Yeah, it definitely does. My last note was just, at least he finally did one good thing for Dean, but I'm not okay.
I was like, well, he was an amazing father for like, I don't know, the last 10 minutes.
10 minutes of his life.
The last 10 minutes of his life, he was the best dad ever. But before that, Bobby should have shot him.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know what to I'm sad that John's dead.
It is extremely sad. One, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan is incredibly good looking and he's the perfect person to play that part. And two, because of the way that he sacrificed himself, because then you love him. This is the problem with it, is before that you hate him, and it's easy to hate him because he's such a jerk and the kids are so great. Like, they're the best sons ever. And then he redeems himself, lastminute.com. And you go, oh, fuck. And then you have to kind of retroactively love him. And then you go through and you watch the seasons again, knowing what you know, knowing how he's going to die. And he's going to give everything up for those boys. And you start to see him differently. And you realize he's just this really tortured man who's doing the best that he can do. And it's hard. It's really, really, really hard. But also awesome in a weird way.
It got me as well because I wasn't expecting it, because last episode, I was expecting it. Let me explain. That didn't make any sense. Let me explain. So, in the last episode, do you remember I had the fun fact and it mentioned about how it was originally going to be Dean that was kidnapped, and then they changed it so that it was John because Jeffrey Dean Morgan had started on Grey's Anatomy. And I was like, oh no, maybe he does die because he's not going to be available for filming. And I was like, oh no, have I accidentally spoiled myself? And then obviously at the beginning of this episode, when he was okay, I was like, oh okay, that's fine then, it's fine then. And then he died and I was like, no. So I had a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah. I remember at the time finding that out and being so angry because I was like, excuse me, Grey's Anatomy or Supernatural? How are you going to choose Grey's Anatomy? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, his character in that though was really good. He was like really cute.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good part.
He was only in it for...
But again, he wasn't in it for that long. And Supernatural.
No.
15 seasons.
Yeah.
Just saying. Like, if I had to make a choice, I know which one I would choose. But yeah, at the time, as a fan of the show and a fan of Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I was upset that he decided to go to Grey's Anatomy. I was outraged.
Yeah.
Shall we play end of episode games?
Yes.
Yes.
villain hot or not?
I guess the villain really is Azazel because Tessa's a good guy. I would like to state for the record that Tessa's super hot. Um,
Well, at one point
Azazel,
he does possess her, so
it's just, oh my god, that was like three times as hot. Can't explain it. Definitely have issues. Because I'm also gonna say that Azazel is hot. Like, he is hot in this episode. He's so deliciously evil and amazing, and he's a hot villain in this episode. So yeah.
he was cool. But like the actor that played him, I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
I just wrote crap smoke, no. Anyone possessed by a yellow eye demon, no.
Rude.
Episode scare rating.
Ooh. I give this a 9. I give this a 9. Because even though I know what happens,
Interesting.
I am so terrified every single time that I watch it. I'm scared that they're gonna die. Which is dumb because I've seen all of the seasons. I know they're not gonna die, but I'm still scared they're gonna die. I'm still heart-wrenched and horrified by everything that goes down with all the demons and what happens to John. Every single time. Hospital horror is a no for me. That gets me. That gets me really hard. That's probably one of the reasons why it's such a high scare rating for me, is because it really plays into my own personal fears.
Yeah.
I think it's super, super spooky. So yeah, I give it a 9. What do you give it?
Well, I thought it was emotional, but I didn't think it was scary. So I only gave it a 4, and that was for the actor playing the demon and the bit where Tessa gets possessed, because they were really scary bits.
Those are good parts. Those are really good parts. I like the part right at the beginning too with the demon truck driver. Like when he's possessed. That
bit was scary too. Yeah. What's your favorite quote?
God, there's so many. There's so many.
I thought you were going to have a definite.
No, I have problems with this episode because there's so many lines in it that are so good. I think this one's emotional. Okay, I thought I would go for a funny one, but it's an emotional one. It's when he says, "You can't go, not now. We were just starting to be brothers again." I can't handle it. I literally can't.
Well, I'm going to go for the obvious funny one then, which is dude, I feel unswayed that mother.
I love that line. It's so good. I also love it when he's bitching about feeling like he's at a slumber party when he gets the Ouija board out for the first time.
Oh yeah, that's so funny.
Oh, amazing.
That was good.
I love it.
What was the best thirst trap?
Okay, it's a tie for me between Dean having his arms crossed and saying, "Well, you know something."
Oh yeah.
Oh, good God, y'all. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan in his last scene right at the end where he's being our heartfelt and talking to them. Because damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I sometimes when I'm watching it, I rewind it just to look at John. So it's a tie.
Well, I had a Sam one, but I've changed my mind. I had a Sam one, which was when he at the start when the possessed truck driver comes to the car and then he's pointing the gun at him and he's like, "You want a bet?" But I'm changing it to a John one because I'm not going to have a chance to give a Jeffrey Dean Morgan thirst trap. So this is going to be it. So it's going to be the John at the end when he says okay just before he dies.
I mean, there's just so many, but that scene is insane. He looks insanely beautiful. And he's so sad. And there's something about like the beauty and the fact that he's heartbroken and he's sacrificing himself because he's a hero and he's finally being the father that he's supposed to be. And then we realize also, like, I feel like the other thing that breaks my heart, I don't want to end this on a low note, but you realize that's the dad that he would have been the whole time if Mary had been okay.
Yeah.
And then you cry all over again.
MVP's got to be John then, hasn't it?
Yeah. I feel like second runner-up is Tessa, but yeah, it's John. John is the most valuable player.
Yeah.
He
And
saved
then there wasn't a
everyone.
motel, there was just a hospital, so.
Ugh, no ratings. Terrible. Hospitals, no.
Yeah, so next episode is the clown one. Not looking forward to that.
Yes. I'm so excited. She's gonna hate it and I'm gonna love it, and it's gonna be everything. It's gonna be everything. There's a part of me that briefly considered buying a clown mask and jump scaring her, but then I thought, no, she won't talk to me and she won't do
No.
the podcast anymore. That's too far. So I'm not gonna do that.
No. Yeah, I guess you'll see my reaction to the clown episode next episode.
Yes, you will, and I will do my best, you guys, to record the key moments for you. Okay, because it's gonna be amazing, and I'm gonna do my very best to play them in that episode. Okay, because we all need that. We need Screaming Laura. Everyone needs Screaming Laura.
I'm not usually a screamer. I usually hide.
You'll hear her muffled because she's hiding behind pillows, and I'll be describing the scene. It'll be great. It'll be everything.
Yeah. Should we end it there?
Absolutely, we shall. It's the end of John Winchester.
Okay.
It's the end of this episode. Goodbye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe. We would be very grateful. And if you know someone who would enjoy it, please share.
You can find us on Instagram at the Witches of Letters podcast, or you can email us at thewitchesofletters@gmail.com.
Until next time, stay safe out there, have each other's backs, and always keep fighting.